225 is up by 0.5%, while South Korea's KOSPI and Australia's ASX 200 are moving sideways with an upward bias. China's top leaders pledged to support fiscal spending to hit this year's 5% economic growth target. Just minutes ago, China's central bank announced a 50 basis point reduction in banks' reserve requirements. Over on Wall Street, the S&P 500 finished at record levels as memory chip maker Micron's upbeat forecast sparked optimism over the demand for chips used for AI computing. The S&P 500 gained 0.4%, while the Dow Jones and the tech-heavy Nasdaq gained 0.6%. Investors are now looking ahead to the release of the Core Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, the U.S. Central Bank's preferred measure of inflation.
Well, if you look at today's market action in context of what's been happening over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've had a very volatile trading pattern, call it from the July highs, a big sell-off in July, technology came down, had a big rebound, you had another pullback, and this current rebound still looks like it has legs. So the move that we're seeing today, I think, is still pretty consistent with an oversold bounce that is underway. I think as we move into the beginning of next quarter, and as we start moving towards earnings in the very short term from a trading standpoint, and I think of that as sort of 2 to 4 weeks, a lot of our daily trading indicators will become overbought. So I think we're actually setting up for a shallow pullback moving back into earnings.
Over in Europe, the main indices tracked higher, led by luxury goods and mining companies. The UK's FTSE 100 gained 0.2%, while Germany's DAX climbed 1.7%. France's CAC 40 jumped by 2.3%. Over in the commodities market, oil prices slumped on reports that Saudi Arabia plans to abandon its unofficial crude price target of $100 per barrel as it prepares to boost output. This caused Brent oil to drop by 2.5% to $71.60 a barrel. Meantime, gold rose by 0.5% to $2,670 an ounce, still hovering at record levels. Now, here at home, Philippine banks remain optimistic about growth through 2025, with more expecting improvements in loan quality. That's according to the central bank's latest banking sector outlook survey. Nearly 2/3 of respondent lenders expect a stable banking system. Around 70% of banks forecast double-digit asset growth, driven mostly by thrift and digital banks. Better economic conditions are also expected to improve loan quality, with fewer banks projecting a non-performing loan ratio above 5%. This is supported by strong lending activity, as 82% of respondent banks expect double-digit loan growth. A total of 147 banks participated in the BSP survey. Now, the country plans to borrow 310 billion pesos from the local market in the last quarter of the year, ahead of the Bangko Central's expected interest rate cuts. The Bureau of Treasury says it will raise 220 billion pesos through Treasury bill auctions, with another 90 billion pesos coming from the sale of Treasury bonds. The government plans to borrow 2.57 trillion pesos this year, with 1.92 trillion pesos from domestic sources and 646 billion pesos from overseas. Now, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signs a law declaring the entry of smuggled agricultural goods as economic sabotage. This means smuggling, hoarding, profiteering, and cartel operations are now classified as non-bailable offenses, punishable by life imprisonment and fines of up to 5 times the value of the goods. The law also creates a special group to dismantle smuggling operations and to apprehend offenders. During the signing ceremony, Marcos said that the country lost over 3 billion pesos due to agricultural smuggling in 2023.
Let me be clear. This law does not just target the masterminds. It holds all accomplices accountable: financiers, brokers, employees, even transporters. We will confront and dismantle the powerful forces that have long exploited our system for their own gain, ensuring that justice prevails and the dignity of our agricultural sector is upheld.
The global rate-cutting race continues as the Swiss National Bank reduces its policy rate for the third time this year. As expected, the SNB cut interest rates by 25 basis points to 1%, citing easing inflation in the country. SNB Chairman Thomas Jordan, who is leaving the central bank at the end of this month, has left the door open for more rate cuts. He says that this is due to a significant decrease in inflationary pressures. The SNB first lowered interest rates in March, making it the first major Western central bank to do so this year. Now, Germany's leading economic institutes downgrade their outlook for the country this year, their growth outlook, that is. In a joint forecast, the groups now predict Europe's largest economy to shrink by 0.1%. They note that the German economy has been stagnating for over 2 years now. They also don't expect growth to return to pre-pandemic levels yet due to structural adjustments to decarbonization, digitalization, and to demographic changes. Groups also cite stronger international competition. This says Germany's economy was the weakest among its Eurozone peers last year, contracting by 0.3%. We're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and the narratives that matter most to your bottom line.
This is The Scorecard, where you score the latest sports news and in-depth views. I'm Anton Rojas.
Get ready. Be prepared. Get to the latest stories, updates, and reports about what's happening in the world of sports. Hosted by Anton Rojas.
Where sports is our business and business is our sport.
The Scorecard, 10 p.m. on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. At BNC, morning means business. The numbers and the stories that drive the economy and shape the world on Basis Points. Weekdays, 9:30 a.m. Cultivate a growth mindset and see where your finances is taking you on Follow the Money. Weekdays, 10:30 a.m. The stories behind successful micro, small, and medium enterprises on Pathways to Success. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Sit down with the trailblazers, the disruptors, and the titans of the industry on Industry Beacon. Weekdays, 11:30 a.m. Business as usual every morning. Only on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Welcome back to Basis Points. Trading at the Philippine Stock Exchange opened just a few minutes ago. Let's take a look at the initial figures. Right now, I'm seeing a mixed picture. The PSE index is up by 0.4% to 7431. This after gaining 1.3% yesterday. All shares index is down as well, down by 0.1% to 3972. Now, as for the subsectors, we're seeing a mixed picture. The financials, holdings, and services counters are in the red, while the industrial, mining and oil and property counters are in the green, with the mining and oil up the most. That counter's up by 1.1%. Now, meanwhile, the foreign exchange market, the peso opened stronger from its previous close of 55.97, opening at 55.80 against the greenback. Shifting gears, let's dive into the world of luxury, bespoke travel. Imagine experiencing the wildest, most remote corners of the globe, all while enjoying the finest comforts and personalized service. From private safaris in Africa to bespoke expeditions in the polar regions, the luxury travel industry has been gaining popularity among travelers looking for unforgettable high-end experiences. Joining us today to talk more about this is a true pioneer in this field, co-founder of A2A Safaris, Victor or Binky Dizon. His company has been creating bespoke safari experiences for more than 2 decades, taking adventure to a whole new level. Welcome, and thanks for being here, Binky.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, Binky, you were an investment banker for 18 years. You worked in Hong Kong, Singapore, London, New York, with the biggest names, Morgan Stanley, Standard Chartered. What made you decide to go in another direction, in the direction of bespoke luxury travel?
Well, I first traveled to Africa about 25 years ago as a tourist, and after that first trip, I just fell in love with the place, kept going back there. And at some point in my banking career, I took a sabbatical and worked as a conservationist in Africa. And I realized then I just had a strong passion for the place and wanted to do something there. Initially, we were planning to build or buy or build our own safari lodge and bring Asian clients there. But, through, I guess, an iterative process, we decided, with advice from some partners there, that it was better to just build a bespoke luxury travel company like A2A and bring our clients from Asia and introduce them to the African safari.
How did your exposure, 18 years in investment banking, how did that shape the direction of A2A safaris?
It helped in the sense that, I guess, our initial clients were a lot of people from the financial services industry and also clients whom we had dealt with over the course of the year. So that really was, helped bring us up from the beginning, because we were really a startup from day one.
Yeah, from that startup, from day one, that was 22 years ago in 2002. Can you talk to us about the evolution of A2A safaris in terms of the offerings that you have and the brand that you've built?
As mentioned, when we started 22 years ago in Hong Kong, we literally started in the garage of my business partner there. And we just focused solely on Africa, even, in fact, just one part of Africa at the very beginning, just Southern Africa. Over the years, we've grown. We now have offices in 5 countries, 4 countries in Asia and in the United States. And we've expanded our offerings to include the entirety of Africa. And about 10 years ago, we expanded our destination footprint to include Latin America, Antarctica, and just this year, our first foray into Wild Asia, which is India.
Okay, really interesting. Binky, a lot of people do this on their own, A lot of people book their own trips and do all that legwork. What is the value, what is the benefit of working with someone such as A2A Safaris for a bespoke experience?
Okay. I think there are many values that a company like ours can add. I guess first and foremost is the knowledge and expertise that we have about the place. Now you have the internet, like it's full of information, but it's actually a problem where it's too much information, and then your ability to discern what is correct, what is incorrect. So that's, I think, a huge amount of value we bring to you. The other one is access. We have access to the best guides, the best experiences, special places, things that a lot of people are not even aware of. So again, those are the values that we can bring to the table. Plus, I think what we also do is the convenience. It's like a one-stop shop. You're dealing with one person, and we have a concierge service 24/7. Any problems during the planning of the trip, while you're on the trip, we're there. We're a phone call away or a WhatsApp away.
Yeah, my family was in that boat last year, and we were like, okay, we've never gone to Africa. Let's go to Africa. How are we going to do this? We're going to go so far, and it's everybody's schedules, and we want to make sure we get it right. So we went with A2A, and it was an unforgettable experience.
Thank you. That's great.
All right. So what are the emerging trends you're seeing in this industry? Talk to us about that, Binky.
Yeah, I think one thing we're seeing now is, especially post-pandemic, people are staying longer in one place rather than doing 3 places for 3 nights each. They may just do one place for 7 nights or 6 nights. The other thing related to that is people are now looking for, I would say, deeper or more immersive experiences alongside those long stays. No, I think that's really an emerging trend we're seeing, which plays to our strengths and the ability to deliver these unique experiences in special places.
How immersive is immersive?
I guess it really all depends. No, like on safari, immersive can be your I guess basic safari in quotation marks is you go on a drive, you go on a boat, etc. But now you have immersive experiences where you can actually go out with the researchers, spend time with them, maybe help dart certain animals, take samples like blood samples and whatnot. So on the safari side, those are examples of much more immersive experiences one can do, or even coloring endangered species, for instance, or tracking them. No?
Off the beaten track completely in terms of experiences. Now, Binky, in terms of bespoke personal travelers, what's the best marketing strategy? How do you get these people to book their trips with A2A Safaris?
I think what has been we've found most effective is really what we call repeats and referrals, because our job is really to deliver the best possible service and experience to our clients. And what we've found is when we are successful in that, people just on their own, they like talking about their experiences. They tell their friends about it. And for us, that's the best endorsement. So if someone comes to us and say, I was referred by, like say, by Maiki or what, I think half the battle is won because credibility is already there.
Okay. Now, speaking of experiences, what was your most memorable travel experience, and how did that shape the direction of what you do at 8A Safaris?
I would have to say it's probably that very first trip I took to Africa over 25 years ago. I still remember that because I went by myself. No one wanted to travel me to Africa at that point in time, but I took a risk. I went. And I fell in love with it. It started my love affair with Africa, and it truly changed my life because it's really what led me to leave my finance career and embark on this new journey in my life. No?
Okay. Now, 8A Safaris has offices in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Thailand, and mainly you bring Asians to exotic places around the world. Now, can you talk to us about what you've noticed in terms of consumer preferences? What are the destinations that have become most popular? What are the types of experience that are most popular for Asians seeking exotic excursions?
Well, for the Asian market, I think one thing we noticed for them, what continues to be very important is the quality of the lodgings. So we make sure, that's always been one of our hallmarks, to make sure, because we're bringing them to unfamiliar places, and to make the fact it's very important they're in comfortable environments. And once they're there, we're able to take them then out of their comfort zones with regards to experiences. Funny enough, for the Asian shopping continues to be an important part. So even though you're in these exotic or wilderness destinations, we'll try to weave in a little bit of shopping for clients, and then cuisine. I think that's something, what we find for the Asian traveler, the food and beverage to some extent is very important to them. So we make sure we cater to that, whether they want to eat Asian food sometimes during their trip or particular kinds of drinks. We make sure that's taken care of as well. Nice.
Okay. Now, in terms of the demand for travel, how do you see the demand for luxury travel changing over the next 5 to 10 years?
From the Asian side, the source side on Asia, we are very bullish and optimistic there because I think the wealth creation in Asia continues to grow, and has been and continues to be a strong propensity for travel among the affluent segment in Asia. And the good thing is, I think they're in some sense running out of places to go to. They've done Europe multiple times, and United States, places like Japan, they go to year in, year out. And so they're looking for new places, and I think that's new experiences, and that really plays to what we do.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of what you do, Pinky, you're in the business of showing Filipinos, Asians, the world. On the flip side, how can we get foreign tourists to want to come to the Philippines and to see everything that we have here?
Yeah, I think we can look to Africa in terms of a playbook. Now, you have places like Rwanda or Botswana, which are relatively obscure. Where are they in the map? And their infrastructure is not necessarily the best. I mean, we have better infrastructure, to be quite honest, in the Philippines. But I think what they do well is in terms of logistics. When you get there, to move around the country and from place to place is very easy. So it makes the travel experience in country very seamless. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing I find that's somewhat challenging in the Philippines. We've got fantastic natural places like our beaches, our mountains, but to get around from one place to another is still a bit challenging. So I think that's where we can learn from in terms of how to make it easier to move around.
And apart from the logistics, the marketing push is fantastic. Africa does a great job of marketing the continent to the world.
That's correct. And I think it's how the message is very much, on theme or on brand, like places like Botswana. They highlight the nature, the exclusivity and beauty of the place. So I think that that's something the Philippines can also, take a page from. Focus on one thing and just keep hammering at it.
The nature, the beauty, and the exclusivity of a Philippine experience.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Pinky, and telling us all about your A to A journey.
Okay. Thank you too.
All right. That was Victor Dizon, the co-founder of A to A Safaris. Now we're taking a quick break. Basis Points will be right back.
How would you like to see our problems with pogos end?
And the pogos.
Would you consider running for office in the future?
It would be hypocrisy to say no.
It is.
At that time, how much was your first pay?
If I'm not mistaken, it was like $120 per week.
Oh, wow. So before we say goodbye to you, you can take off your sunglasses so people can see you better. Always stay at the forefront.
OpenAI has launched a new series of bots built to answer really tough questions. The AI models are designed to spend more time processing problems before spitting out an answer. First reported by Reuters, the new products are capable of reasoning through complex tasks. OpenAI says that makes them better able to solve challenging problems in science, coding and math. Known within the firm as Strawberry, they've officially been branded as O1 and O1 Mini. The O1 version will be available in ChatGPT